Well, Larry Roberts asked me to come and take some photographs for a survival class he's doing. Just a small private class, I guess. And so I said, sure.
If you don't have a cutting tool, you're basically breaking rocks to try to make a sharp instrument, right? And it's real easy to carry a cutting tool, whether that's a pocket knife, like I said, it could be a hatchet, saw, axe, anything. The next thing is a combustion device. Now, why do we carry ferro rods when a lighter is so much easier? You carry both. You carry both. If you're not a smoker, it doesn't matter. Carry a lighter and get rid of that safety mechanism on it too. Open instant flame is always easier than your ferro rod. But your ferro rod, you can look at it and see how much is left. I can look at it and see if it's broken. If it gets wet, I can dry it off really quick and make a fire with it. And also in the dead of winter, I can make a fire with mittens with this thing on instead of taking my mittens off with my lighter and also having to dig into my innermost pockets for my lighter because I got to keep my lighter next to my body, otherwise it's going to get cold, right? And it's not going to work. So a lighter's always first, and that's great, but there's limitations with lighters. And so that's why we carry a ferro rod, okay?
Right.
I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
toe warmers in my uninsulated boots.
That's not your baton. I broke it with my foot. It's not good. I mean, it would hurt you hitting the head with it, but
Come here. How long do you like to, you might have said this, how long do you like the rod?
Approximately fingertip to
Okay.
elbow.
How about thickness?
About like what they are, a little, or the tiniest bit thicker. There you go, perfect. It doesn't have to have a ton of meat on it, but it needs to do a little bit. Gradually angle my knife blade into the stick until I feel it start to bite. Now that it's starting to bite, I'm going to move the back of the knife closer to the stick so that there's less of an angle. It's going to have less of a bite onto the stick, okay? And I'm going to see where that takes me. So I'm going to bite and then maybe back off a little bit. Now that's a pretty thick one, so now I'm just going to practice here. I'm going to a little harder.
almost there.
Yeah, you're close.
One good push.
There you go, nice. Nice job. Way not to give up on it.
Yeah, good job.
You don't want to, everybody know what a widowmaker is? Okay, you don't want to camp under widowmakers, obvious reasons, right? It could be just something real small. I mean, you gotta, like these oak trees, a lot of times they'll have dead limbs that are just kind of hanging like this. And then come back around the tree. Now, if I don't hold this loop here, it's going to come out, right? So I just want to kind of either not pull super hard on this or keep my finger here. I mean, I need this loop anyway. I'm going to come back through this. Thank you. I'm going to come back through this, and now I have a tensioning knot, right? Most people teach this, they stop here basically. They pinch it with their thumbs, and they do a couple of wraps. I usually do a couple of wraps and then do a couple of half hitches, and that holds it. So I learned this a long time ago, and especially when I was doing one-handed bushcraft, because I've had several injuries to my arms or hands, I've had to have surgery. But I found that if you go back around the tree again, put it back through the loop, it's just the same thing twice. Stays there. As this spreads apart, it creates tension on itself. So it's going to have a natural way it wants to twist. I mean, sure, I'm grabbing a hold, but I know that rope's not going to break. But anyway, now I would come down here and do my jam knot again, right? And tie a toggle to it. And then I would have it, my pot would be right there, and I could take it. My pot needs to be raised. Okay, I'll just got a little inside the board a little bit. I'm going to take my spindle and I'm going to line it up with the edge of the board, and then I'm going to make a mark where the outside edge of that spindle is. right there. That's the center of my hole. Doing this is where I will move my hand out of the way and be uncomfortable. This is uncomfortable for me to do, but it's safer. I'm going to go like this. I'm not putting a ton of pressure on it, but I always keep my hand out of the way. All right, and who has a strung up bow?
It's right there on the ground.
Eat and mate and make smoke and fire. I'm not quite like that. Okay, I'll burn it in for a little bit. This is where I want to try to save that dust.
He's way better at than you guys
Can you stop it? You're so rude, Nikki.
Most bushcraft knives are shaped in a manner to where you can set your point very close to the center of this divot and make a mark. It's a little hard. And then make a mark on this side. Okay? That's approximately the shape of the triangle you want to cut out. You always want to start off with not taking too much material, because as you saw back and forth on that, this divot will grow and the notch will end up going further. It'll seem like it went further into your bow drill, you know what. Now I want to clean up the edges. I made that pretty dang wide. I shouldn't have made it quite that wide. Got a little carried away with the knife. Go slow. Just enough downward pressure to get cracking. That squeaking is bad. You push a little harder to get rid of that squeak. I'm smoking. I know I'm creating dust. I'm going to go and breathe. Slow. Easy. Maybe pick up the pace a little bit. Let that cook for a minute. Now I can catch my breath. I have a non-existent tinder bundle, but whatever. Most important thing now is don't screw with this. It needs to coagulate. It coagulates by creating an ember, like a cigarette ash. You don't want the ash part. This is almost like ash in properties-wise, but it's real fragile and it'll bust apart. When it starts to coal up, it'll coagulate and stick together.
That's another.
Now I think if you try this, you will be amazed at the difference between an antler bearing block and your bearing block. But this is a bark of an aspen tree. This is good timber. You make a hell of a timber. So remember I said tinder bundle and bird's nest? This will eventually, you don't want it super powdery, but you want it about like this. This can be the finest part of the inside of your tinder bundle. Dandelions are edible, right?
Yes.
They say the roots are a coffee substitute, right? I encourage you to try it. Bullshit. It's not a coffee substitute. It tastes okay. It's a tea. It ain't no coffee substitute. But they're also a diuretic. You eat too many of these, you're going to pee all night long and lose all your hydration. That's why I passed out in Mongolia.
Oh, wow.
Everybody take a piece.
And you chew on it?
I'll just hold on a second. Jesus. You're really
Can I put it in my mouth? Can I put it in my mouth?
I can't believe you're that hungry, dude. Creeping Charlie is what I've been told.
Creeping Charlie.
It takes over everybody's lawn.
Taste it.
I've never seen
Get all the other crappy roots off it. Taste it a little bit.
It's fine to have
It's fine to have, I promise.
for a pregnant woman.
You got it.
Oregano-y.
Peppery.
I would rather have this
Oh,
than
yeah.
parsley.
I'll split it with you.
All right, halvesies.
Parsley.
Hate it.
Thank you.
Cilantro?
Yeah, I like
Oh, I love cilantro.
I
No
love
fan.
cilantro too. And
Oh, yeah.
it's crazy.
Everybody had a it's
That's, uh,
peppery.
Yeah, it's
Everybody had some?
Stinging nettle.
Stinging nettle. All you have to
worst.
do is barely steam this for like 30 seconds and it's edible. Okay? Or if you boil it, like just a tiny little, it's like spinach. You know how like you can
blanch
way
it.
overdo spinach? You can way overdo this. This is supposed to be a huge superfood. This is also good cordage. Okay? It is the outer bark that's the good cordage. You get a nice long stem and you squish it, pop, 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 and then you open it up and you can just barely take the pith off as you're separating the fibers. Great work.
Sitting here watching the snow fall down on top of all the snow that's just lying around. Nowhere to go, no one to see. Well, I can't tell you if I'm lonely or free. At the end of a long day, he pulls up his bar stool and drinks his whiskey down like any other fool. Nowhere to go, no one to see. He doesn't know if he's lonely or free. One heart's broken, another's wide open, but they're beating just the same. You can carry the world on your shoulders, or you could light the flame. She grabs a cup of coffee to watch the sunrise, and just like the day before, it's still a beautiful surprise. Nowhere to go, no one to see. She won't tell you if she's lonely or free. One heart's broken, another's wide open, but they're beating just the same. You can carry the world on your shoulders, or you can light the flame.
Whoa.
Oh, dang.
Look at that.
I got the mouse on there.
Cow.
The mouse is like the biggest thing. That's funny.
Wow, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Hold on, I gotta get this. Actually,